The song we're going to interpret is Shelter in the Time of Storm. The words that you're going to need: Lord. Think of the royal ribbon starting. Your dominant hand is the one that you use the most to write and things. Your non-dominant hand is the other hand. So Lord starts across a royal ribbon using your dominant hand on the opposite shoulder and down across that royal ribbon with the letter L. Lord. Rock. Two fists, dominant hand on top of the non-dominant hand. Rock. Him or thou, you're holding your hand up toward God, because that's who we're talking about, or you're pointing up to Him. Hide, you form with your non-dominant hand kind of like a cave, and your thumb up on your dominant hand goes underneath. You're hiding it. Hiding like you're securing it in the cave where nobody can see you. Shelter. This shelter means not a home, but a shield. And so it's like you're grabbing the shield and you're coming in front of it, showing that shield out in front with the dominant hand. Time, and if you think of your wristwatch on your arm, you just point to that. Storm. Big, both open hands, kind of almost in a claw-like fashion, like you're swirling the wind around and around. Secure. This secure means safe, like you're bound with your hands, S formation with your fist, and coming out, like you're breaking the bonds of the bondage. You're safe. Safe. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Or you can do whatever. I sometimes do this one, sometimes I do whatever. This ill is like your trouble, your frustrations, whatever frustrations. Betide means to come. Jesus, both open hands with your center finger touching the nail prints in Jesus's hands. Jesus. Weary. Take your hand, dominant hand, fingers down, and it's like your knees are giving out from underneath you. Weary. Land. Take your hand and it's like you're feeling the land. Shade. You take the black sign across your forehead, black, and then it comes down so that you see that it is a black, like a shadow. By and of, you have to fingerspell. Depending on where it is, if it's important to the usage of the sentence, you will have to finger spell it or leave it out if it's not important to the meaning. Day. Form your horizon with your non-dominant hand, and your finger then points to where the sun goes across the sky. Defense, and it's like you're pushing against something so that you're pushing out with your hands. Defense. Night, again, your horizon, and the sun is going down over the horizon. Night. The words no, the two fingers onto the thumb with just kind of a snap. No. Now fears, you have two different kinds of fear. It can be a fear this way or a fear this way, whichever way you're pushing away things from the outside or fears that you have yourself. The alarm, it's just like you're banging the bell this way or this way. I tend to use this one a lot more. A foe. Take your fingers like you're pulling them apart and a person ending. Foes. Now, This affright is that fear. So you have to look at it, and whichever way it makes sense to you. Raging, great. If something is raging, it is really way out there. Raging. Around, pinch your non-dominant hand and circle it with the pointer finger of your dominant hand. Us, from your shoulder around to the other shoulder, starting with your dominant side around to your non-dominant side. It's like there's a circle that encompasses both you and other people. Our, open hand, because remember it's possession, open hand around that same circle. Beat, meaning to strike. We, and again, use us, our, we. Never. Dominant hand on the opposite side is like you're making a circle and then throw it away. Never. Leave, to take off, hand straight out, and your other hand takes off out from underneath it, to leave. Divine, your open hand, the D across the clean of the hand is holy, divine. That's the D hand, divine. The deer here is to love. Helper, your non-dominant hand forms a fist. Your dominant hand holds it up like you're helping it. Remember, this is a person, so it would be a helper with that person ending. Ever or always, and that's a complete circle. Near, hold your non-dominant hand up, and your hand in kind of a bent position comes up near the non-dominant hand. Near. Ready. The Lord's our rock, in him we hide, a shelter in the time of storm. Secure whatever ills betide, a shelter in the time of storm. Oh, Jesus is a rock in a weary land, a weary land, a weary land. Oh, Jesus is a rock in a weary land, a shelter in the time of storm. A shade by day, defense by night, a shelter in the time of storm. No fears alarm, no foes affright, a shelter in the time of storm. Oh, Jesus is a rock in a weary land, a weary land, a weary land. Oh, Jesus is a rock in a weary land, a shelter in the time of storm. The raging storms may round us be, a shelter in the time of storms. We'll never leave our safe retreat, a shelter in the time of storm. Oh, Jesus is a rock in a weary land, a weary land, a weary land. Oh, Jesus is a rock in a weary land, a shelter in the time of storms. O rock divine, O refuge dear, a shelter in the time of storms. Be thou our helper ever near, a shelter in the time of storm. Oh, Jesus is a rock in a weary land, a weary land, a weary land. Oh, Jesus is a rock in a weary land, a shelter in the time Milestorm.